Hello, what's up, y'all? Y'all just be backing out, and I be forgetting to put my mirrors back out. I be thinking, like, what am I doing? Oh boy, what's up, y'all? Let me ask y'all a question. So, if you had the opportunity to, hope everybody's doing okay. If y'all make sure to like, follow, subscribe. Is that what they be saying when you on YouTube? And y'all tell somebody to tell somebody. I'm sticking to it. My numbers is a little low on the YouTube side for views, but that's okay. I don't really mind it because I'm just gonna stick to it for a whole year and see what it profits. But make sure y'all share it with somebody. Just say, hey, go check this person out on YouTube. And if they can, they can. If they don't, I understand. Sorry, I was daydreaming for a second. Oh, it's hot. But those of you who have been supporting me, I appreciate you. I really do, because you don't have to take time out of your day just to listen to me. I know my cousin is very supportive. My god sister is very supportive. My mom tells me she watches and what have you. So I do appreciate that, because you guys don't have to. So let me ask you all this. I want a really good shake from somewhere. That's not what I was going to ask you, because that actually was a statement. I want a really good shake from somewhere. So if you have the opportunity to, be able to deal with someone who is always reliable, you can literally trust them with any and everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. They'll provide for you, no questions asked. That even when you make a mistake and do the most, or even just when things happen, they don't even really care. They're gonna always 150% come through. No questions asked. When you don't know what to do or how to do, it's like they always literally have the answer. They always make a way to help you out. They know you need help before you even say it, right? Just literally a perfect specimen of a person. Comforts you, loves on you, dries your tears, defends you, protects you. And this is like 10 out of 10. Every single scenario, they're going to come through. Non-negotiable. You don't have to beg. You don't have to do any of that. Like any and everything you could think of, they will do 150%. They will exceed what it is you even think you're thinking. Or would you kind of rather deal with the person who, little sometimey, tit for tat, scratch my back, I scratch yours. Hey, what you gonna do for me? Or I'm only gonna do something for you if you do something for me. Or bumping, I'm just gonna be selfish. Hey, I'm not doing nothing for you, but I need all the rewards and benefits of who you are. Hey, may or may not borrow you money if you need it. May or may not come see about you if you sick. Definitely gonna lie to you occasionally. Definitely gonna pretend like I'm solid and I'm willing to come through, but really that's not what I'm gonna do. But we may laugh, have a good time here or there. I do enough to kind of keep you still drawn to me, but not enough to kind of make you my full responsibility, because that's too much. But definitely I'll hold you if you crying, but then kind of tell you suck it up and keep it moving, like you still on that. Like a sometimey person. Sometimes you can deal with them, sometimes you can't. Sometimes they're gonna come through, sometimes they can't. Not loyal, but you can kind of still talk to them. Sometimes they'll pay attention to you and what you said, but then sometimes they want to make it about them. Like, which one would you rather deal with? That's like a no-brainer of a question, right? But what I find so interesting is, obviously, if you haven't figured it out, the person that I was describing is exactly who God is to us. And the other person that I was describing, you're going to think it's someone else. But no, the other person I was describing is you, or i.e. me. Because that's how we are with God. We sometimey, you already know how it go. But what it should make you realize is that God is literally irreplaceable. I've been dealing with some situations and some circumstances, and I'm telling you, the level of trust that I have in God, I cannot compare it to anything. Every single time the situation appeared like it was getting ready to do the most, I reminded God and myself, because I really don't have to remind God. I reminded God, I stood on the prayer that I prayed. I stood on my history with God. I stood on my relationship with God. And I talked to the situation and I said, you trying to tell me da-da-da-da. You trying to look like blah, 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 blah. But what you don't understand is the God that I serve and the prayer that I prayed, and I went before him humbly, or some people say humble. You say what you want. But I talked back to the situation, and I continued to drive that, so that what I was feeling, so that what it looked like didn't cause me to doubt what has been consistent. I kept reminding myself what I prayed and who I know God has been to me, so that the situation wouldn't make me even remotely question God, doubt God, even put in my spirit, but what if? Did I do that for nothing? And it was at one point, y'all, I even said, did I do that for nothing? And I quickly said, devil, get out of my head. Devil, get out of my head. Jennifer, tell your flesh to get out of your head. Whatever I had to say, I had to quickly snatch myself back into the spirit realm. Because God and the history that I have with him, he has literally never failed me. So what am I saying? Don't let the situation be louder than your God. I know we hear all of these cliche sayings, but it's so true. You have to stop and check yourself and say, hold on though. But history says da 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 da. But my relationship with God says da 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 da. Watch this. Even if your relationship is rocky, God's still gonna come through. He's the only person that can do that. There is nobody more reliable than God. Not the person you sleeping with, not the person you texting with, not your mother, not your father, not yourself. Like, you know how you could be in a situation where you like, I'ma definitely bet on myself all day long. Child, I don't even trust me with me. God will literally never fail you. You could be all of us is that second person. We do too much, we fickle, we sometimey, we conditional, right? That's how we treat others at times, and that's how we definitely treat God, right? We uncertain, we up, we down, we left, we right, we riding with God when it's all good, but we nervous about him when it's all bad, when it's kind of in the middle and things are kind of going okay, but it's something kind of trying to pop up. We like, all right now, like God ain't gonna come through. Like he has not proven himself over and over and over. You cannot find anybody better. Whether it's your fault or not your fault, whether you caused it or you didn't cause it, whether it's from human nature, relationships, situations, financially, emotionally, mentally, physically, God don't care about none of that. And I had some situations happen. I promise y'all, I wish I could tell y'all the details. But I stood on something. And something tried to arise to make me question and doubt what I stood on and what I prayed for. And I talked back to that. I said, no, that's not going to work, boss. God has come through for me time and time again. He's corrected me out of love time and time again. I'm appreciative of him doing that. Because if he don't do that, I can't straighten up. I can't get my act together. I can't do what's right. I can't be stronger. I can't be wiser. Child, I don't want God leaving me out there willy-nilly. No, I'm going to need you to go ahead and correct me and stop me right in my tracks. Jennifer, what are you doing? Like, oh, God, thank you. I would much rather him do it. And then the situation smoothed itself out. Something else jumped right up. It came right up. And I was like, really? And literally all of this happened in a matter of probably 30 to 45 seconds. The situation was taking place. My eyes started to water, and I literally stopped while I was on the phone. I took a deep breath. And I said, God, you've never failed me. You're not getting ready to bring me this far. I did not cause this. This is not something that I did. Now, this is this particular situation. Because when it's something I did, I have a different conversation with him. But I said, God, you already knew this. I am going to trust you. I don't care what they saying. I don't care what they talking about. You will have the last say. And in seconds, I got myself together. See, when you begin to have a history, at some point, your time frame of how you deal with things should start to minimize. You shouldn't cry as long. Now, I'm not talking about when you're dealing with the death and different things like that, but even in that, even in the most egregious situation where you feel like there's no way out, you should start to build that history with God where you don't have to cry as long and weep and worry and ponder and be in fear. Those moments should begin to minimize themselves. Minimize in time, minimize in how many times you cry, how long you stay frustrated, how many negative words you say, how long you doubt, right? Because again, it's no different than a natural life. Who you are at 20, you should not be the same person at 30. Who you are at 30, you shouldn't be the same person at 40, 50, and 60. We should be ever evolving. And so it's the same thing with our history with God. We shouldn't still be crying the same amount of time that we cried 2 years ago, 4 years ago. I'm not saying don't cry at all. I'm not saying don't have an emotion at all. But our response should reflect our relationship. Our response should reflect our maturity. Our response should reflect our growth. I'm not talking about you got to be out here like Shira and never cry and never be like, whoo, God, whoo, that was a close one. But at some point, for your sanity and your peace and your joy and your mental well-being and your strength that you pull from God, you should be saying, God, I thank you, because before this would have had me down for weeks, for days. That breakup would have towed me down for months. Losing that job would have killed me for weeks. You know, having that fallout with that family member or that loved one or that friend, that would have took me out. I wouldn't have been able to focus. I would have been all over the place. But God, now I find that even in the midst of a storm, I'm grabbing my umbrella and my rain boots and my raincoat, because I'm not moved at the fact that it's raining. Why? Because I'm protected in my feet. I'm protected with my umbrella. I'm protected with my raincoat. And guess what? It's going to be all right. I just have to wait till this pass. This rain could beat down on this umbrella. As long as this umbrella gonna stand, as long as I have my armor, I'm going to be fine. And guess what? If it starts to storm and the umbrella starts to you know how I fly up the opposite way, well, I'm gonna go ahead and put on my hood. Guess what? If the hood wanna act out, guess what? I'm gonna say, oh, well, it's just hair. I'm only wet for a moment. I'm only drenched for a moment, because I got to make it to safety. I got to make it to where it's warm. I got to find cover, whether it's under a bus stop, in my car, whatever the case may be. This is just water. This thing is gonna pass. That's how we gotta be with these situations with God. When you have on your shield, when you are guarded and protected, not guarded because you like, I'm closed off. No. But when you have on the armor of God, you say this storm is just for a moment. This situation is just for a moment. This scenario is just for a moment. What this person said to me affected me just for a moment, because I have on my armor, so I'm protected. And there is no better protection than when you have spiritual protection. And so the situation started to rear itself, and that thing started to go left again. All I said was, God, we already had a discussion. So now I'm not going back and begging, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, right? Kind of reminding God over and over again of your prayer. But again, my journey, I said, God, I ain't even going to say that. You already know. Father, work it out. Father, it's already worked out. Listen, I'm not even going to be where I am unless you directed me right here. Because I'm in a place where I ain't trying to do stuff my way no more. It don't work. It doesn't work. It's never worked. It's not going to work. It's over for that. It's dead. I've suffered too many consequences trying to do it myself. But I just said, woo, God, these folks is crazy. And when I tell you, God What looks worse to you is nothing to God. What looks like a closed door to you is an open door to God. What looks like the impossible to you is possible for God. And when I thought one situation was like, what am I getting ready to do? The Lord I didn't even trip. I said, God, I'm getting ready to trust you. The lady said, don't worry, boom, 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 yada, 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 and I'm going to give you more time. It was a better outcome than when I thought. The outcome I thought was good, I got an even better outcome. Whatever financial, the money that I thought was good, God said, no, I have something better. We're not even talking about, let me do the math. So we're talking about a 50+ increase. And every single time, I'm like, I have to reflect on, how did I respond? How did I respond? What did I regurgitate out of my mouth? What did my spirit man say? Come on. What did my spirit man cause me to draw back on? Cause me to pull back into the Rolodex? God is faithful. He's kind. He's merciful. He's guided me. He's a lamp unto my feet. He's not going to have me go into something without a plan. He's all knowing. What am I tripping about? Again, you're going to trip. You're going to be like, huh? You're going to be like, what? You're going to scratch your hair, scratch your weave, scratch your ponytail, scratch your braids, scratch your bald head. It don't matter. Scratch your goatee. I don't care. You're going to ponder, but don't stay there. Who can you find more trustworthy than God? Who can you find more dependable than God? Who can you find more loving than God? Who can you find that's going to get you out of this situation? Not sometimes, not half the time. We're talking about all the time. Who has a perfect history, a perfect response rate, a perfect get out of jail free card, a perfect, hey, what you need? I got it. What you talking about? I already know. What you crying for? Wiping your tears. Wait a minute. You need a hug? I got you. You need to know it's okay? I got you. You need to be chastised? I got you. Wait a minute. Who's going to be there for you when you're not there for you? When you can't even help yourself? When the devil trying to get in your mind, who's going to come and interrupt them thoughts? Your spirit man. You cannot afford to not stand on what God said and what you prayed. We don't have to keep always going to God crying, oh, but God, you already know. Me and you already talked. It's no different than when you tell your child. At some point, it goes from verbal communication to at some point you get to a place with your child where, or a child or somebody you raised or just being around little kids where all you got to do is take a look at them. I don't even have to say nothing to my son. I just look at him. He already know what I'm thinking, what the response, what I'm going to say to him. He already know. You could walk into a room full of students. They already know. Oh, they're going to be so-and-so. And your presence can be of a bold insecurity, not like, oh, you finna get chastised. Your presence can be comfort. Your presence could be, okay, tighten up. Your presence could be, what's the matter? Your presence could be, I'm here. Your presence could be, talk to me. Learn to know when you go to God, what presence are you coming to him? And what presence is he inviting you in? And don't run away from it. If you did something, okay, God, right now in your presence, you trying to talk to me about me. Take it. Okay, God, right now in your presence, you're allowing me to cry. Okay, take it. Okay, God, right now in your presence, you giving me direction. Take it. Okay, God, right now in your presence, you letting me vent. Good, take it. But understand how you coming to him and understand how he's approaching you. Understand what he's laying out for you. Because some of us want direction when he just want us to listen. Some of us want to listen when he's trying to guide. Some of us don't want to be guided and we don't want to listen and we just going to his presence doing what we want to do. And he like, wait. Some of us is going to God with nothing to say and he's saying, that's okay, you don't have to say nothing. Some of us going in God's presence talking too much. Sometimes we don't know how to be quiet before the Lord and just let your heart be in his presence because he already knows. Some of us going in God's presence and we're not authentic. We're not being truthful. We're not being transparent. So check what presence you going. And again, even if you going into his presence upset, but understand that your presence has to come subject to what he's doing. And he may say, okay, I'm going to let you go ahead and talk to me and tell me how you feeling. Okay, now we switching. I want you to hear me. I want you to pick up that word. I want you to stop and pray. Because before you were just telling me how you feel. Now I want you to pray and command. It's no different than when I'm talking to my son. I give him the space to express when it's necessary. I give him the space to cry when it's necessary. But there's also times he needs to be quiet and listen. There's also times where we need to have a constructive criticism conversation, to even where I say to him, son, what is it that you want from me? How is it that I can help you? But see, y'all don't think God will talk to you like that. Y'all don't think that. Y'all just think God want to bully you into what he wants to do. No, God wants to know how you feel. Where you like, God, you know what? It would just really help me if you could just do da-da-da-da. He said, okay, baby, I hear you. I hear you, daughter. Okay, so today, okay. Because obviously, if I can discern where my son is, I'm not going to be like, be quiet and da-da. No, I'm going to have to use wisdom and say, okay, Jen, now is not the time to tell him 50,000 things he did wrong. Let me just hug him. Y'all don't think God treats us like that, but he does. And I have to wait. And I'll say, okay, son, you know what? Thank you for expressing da-da-da. We're going to talk about it tomorrow, okay? Now, tomorrow we're going to talk about what I feel you could have did better. God wants to cater to you and love you. Because guess what? Ain't that what we want? Don't we want to know that we're loved? And let's talk about in the human form. Don't we want to know that the people in our lives is willing to hug us and tell us it's going to be okay when we right, when we wrong, when it's our fault, when it's not? Don't we want somebody that's not, you just want somebody that's going to yell at you and fuss at you? Listen, I already know it's my fault. Okay, God, I know it's my fault. You don't want to go to him and he like, are you serious? Who wants that? Who wants that in the flesh? Okay, I already know I messed up. You don't want somebody to beat a dead horse? You don't think God understands? Like, I know, honey. I'm going to let you have today. He's loving. He's gentle. He's kind. No, he's not a punk or a pushover. But he's not trying to bully you and weigh you down. He don't want you leaving his presence feeling heavier. Feeling like, now God's mad at me. Oh, my God. No. He don't want that for you. I love my son to death, and I can't compare the love that I have for my son for the love that God has for me. And I don't want my son leaving my presence feeling worse, feeling like he's the worst person in the world. You done did something awful. No, it's a time and place for those things. And even then, my goal is never to make him feel like a bad person. Just because you've done wrong don't make you a bad person, especially when you want to do right. So who could you find that's going to cater to every part of who you are, every part of your existence? The worst of the worst, the stuff you don't want to tell nobody, the stuff you can't be honest about, the stuff that you ain't never told nobody, the abortion, the rape, the molestation, the abuse, the emotional abuse, the issues at work, your account in the negative, you got $100 to last you the next 2 weeks. You know, we don't get on social media and post that kind of stuff. And that's okay. But I'm just trying to get you to see that you can't replace God with nothing and nobody. He wants the best for you. He don't want you to hide and pretend and all of that. So you want to nurture that relationship with him. I'd be not glad, but I'd be like, oh God, now, how you doing today? I talk to him just like I talk to my son, or just like I talk to other people. I talk. I don't be, whoa, da-da-da, bo, bo, bo. God. So let me tell you something. Was it me? Okay, I know I shouldn't have said that, but God, hear me out. Because you want to have that relationship with him. You want to feel like he's your friend. He's your everything. I don't want to feel like I have to pretend in his presence. Like, okay, God, was it me? Or, like, didn't I low-key have a right to say that? Because, honestly, but guess what? My spirit man knows, okay, God, but I know that that's not right. I know I shouldn't have thought that. And I know I shouldn't have said that. But, God, in that moment, I'm trying to tell you, I felt great. And some people will be like, oh, God don't talk to you like that. You don't talk to God like that. Let me tell y'all something. However it is you got to communicate, you don't have to always open up your mouth. You don't always have to be verbal. It could be in your, sometimes I go in God's presence and I'm so heavy, I don't know what to say. I love that about our relationship. And then sometimes I go in his presence and I'm chatty Cathy. I can't be quiet. Y'all, I meant to go to Costco because I'm going to make some lamb. That's what I was going to do. And I was just in that area. I'm going to have to turn all the way back around. But that's okay. You know, it's just like, let me see if they have some. It's just like, I want all of the perks with having a healthy relationship. I don't want to hide and be embarrassed. I want to be able to say, I did that, and you know what? I meant it. Because he already knows. But God, work on that. God, help me with that side, because I already know that's not going to profit me nothing. I was weak in my flesh, and I was doing too much, and I know better. And I actually should be embarrassed, to be honest. And God, I am embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed before you, because I don't want to be ashamed in your presence, but I'm ashamed in my actions. He's going to love me regardless, but I'm not going to pretend like, oh, I'm going to act like, oh, well, whatever I do, God just going to love me. No, I am ashamed of my actions, because when you feel ashamed, when you feel embarrassed, when you feel convicted, you don't want to hide from that. You want to feel that so that you can turn, so that you can say, woo, I shouldn't have did that. You don't want to be comfortable in your conviction. You don't want to be comfortable in doing wrong. You cannot replace God. I'm going to get me some lamb. I hope y'all got something from what I said, because if nothing else, me talking just helps remind me. I'm like, this man is the greatest of all time. And when I say this man, I'm saying that respectfully. God is the greatest of all time. And I'm getting ready to get emotional. And I'm not saying that because he makes a way when I make a mistake. No, I actually want to do better because of my relationship with him. I don't want to be, oh, well, I'm finna just make a mistake and do me because God finna always show up. No, I'm not trying to take advantage of him. I'm not trying to use him. I don't want to be used. Not that God would ever use me in that bad way. But I know how that feels for man, and I'm talking about humans, to use you and be selfish. Why would I want God to feel like that concerning me, when I already know I'm not going to do a perfect job? So therefore, I strive to be better and not use him and not take advantage of, like, oh, he died for my sins, so it's up. We out here. No. And furthermore, even if it impacts my relationship with God, I love myself so much, and I'm learning to love myself more and more. It impacts me. It impacts my life, how I do things, how I view things, my actions and my words. So you may think it's all good to be like, yep, it's up, I can sin, God gonna forgive me. But that's not a positive impact on your life. It's going to eventually catch up to you. Y'all know that saying, your sins will find you. So while you thinking you being reckless, and I'm not talking about the grace that we're given when we're young and we're trying to grow up and we're going through things, no. But I'm talking about, if you think you finna just keep deliberately sinning and think that thing ain't never finna find you, baby, you could be an atheist. One thing about it, two things for certain, it's gonna find you. Wrong ain't gonna allow you to do wrong forever. Sorry, that's just not even how it works, whether you know God or don't know God. Keep robbing a bank and see if you don't ever get caught. Keep cheating and see if you don't ever get caught. Keep lying and see if you don't ever get caught. Keep stealing. Keep manipulating. Keep scheming. And don't think that that's not going to ever come back on you or come back to you and repay you. Just make it sense. I'm going to go and pick me up some lamb chops, and I hope that this store has some. If not, I'm going to have to go 30 minutes plus back the other way to get some. But you know, I'm not complaining, because I'm going to make lamb chops. I ain't tripping about having to drive 30-some minutes away, because I'm grateful that I can even go get some. We have to be grateful for the little things, and we have to be grateful for the minor things, and we have to be grateful for the major things. I love y'all. We'll talk soon.